of course, with the support of the amendments by the committee. And I would like to say that I really want to appreciate the work done by the committee, and especially under the leadership of the Honorable Gladys Wanga. I noticed the input by the public participation, which is a constitutional provision, and the spirit of that law is to really guide and to have the representation, because as members of parliament, we represent the people. And so people sometimes have their contributions, which should be respected even by the Constitution. And I want to say that, Madam Speaker, when you see most of the amendments which were made, it was after the input of the public participation. And I want to say that the bill initially had a proposal to delete the requirement for regulations made under the VAT Act 2013, which was to exempt National Assembly from approval before gazettement of VAT regulations, which I am supporting it, Madam Speaker, because unless we have this House to intervene and to oversight the executive, we will not have a tax regime that is going to favor the people we represent. And I want to say that, Madam Speaker, even on the digital service tax, this bill is introducing the implementation of that digital marketplace, where there are a lot of transactions which are done online, some are done electronically. Unless we put effort in terms of trying to get taxation from it, we are losing a lot of resources which we would have gotten an opportunity to tax. And Madam Speaker, I said earlier in this Parliament that it is important to have the two committees to work together. I mean the Finance Committee and the Budget Committee, because there is an inherent relationship between the two. You cannot budget what you don't have, or you cannot tax without a plan. So you must tax with a plan, and you cannot plan without taxing it, which is important. I remember in the 11th Parliament, we used to have members who sit in the Finance Committee to sit in the Budget Committee, so that when you want to budget, most proposals that you make will be in tandem with the taxation regime that you introduce. And that is not the case here. And I've also realized that sometimes we do a budget, then to discuss again on where to get the resources, it should be the other way around. We should get the resources, then we budget. We end up getting a deficit in every budget unless we plan proper in terms of where to get the resources and how much resources are available. Then you can understand on how to prioritize programs, which I think, in as much as I'm supporting, it is important for this Parliament to see how in future we can introduce where a majority of members who sit in Budget Committee should equally sit in the Finance Committee, so that when they make proposals to tax, they should be making with some mind on, in terms of where to put resources in budgeting. Madam Speaker, on the Excise Duty Act number 23 of 2015, which the bill proposes to amend because it is very inappropriate in terms of when you have excise duty on motorcycles up to 11,000 per unit. It is too much for those border people. And I think this introduction of having moving it to not a fixed unit to an excisable value, which is rather 15% of the value. I think the input of that is to really support this sector where it is run by ordinary Kenyans who are languishing in poverty, and they are trying to make to earn a living, and they do many things to get resources to try and buy a motorcycle, which is about 100,000. And if you were to have 11,000 shillings per unit, it is too much for them, which I think it is a good introductory. But generally, Madam Speaker, I want to say that this bill is a good bill. I've seen many things, but just to be brief, even the introduction of the infrastructure bond, which we raised at the budget committee on these issues on how to address the financing of most of the infrastructural programs and projects. Madam Speaker, I understand there is a huge pending bill which has been raised from the ongoing projects of infrastructure. Unless there is a bond, which the bill is introducing the amendments to ensure that you don't tax even on the interest you get from the bond, so that you encourage many people to put it, and for us to raise a lot of resources to put it in infrastructural facilities. Even the amendment by the committee, which I think it was done by the finance committee, to introduce energy sector, where they have a huge capital, I mean, it is capital intensity in energy projects, where, like transmissions, if you were to talk about Ketrago and the many transmission sector, it takes billions of money to transmit electricity. And it is important to encourage people to come with bonds so that we can transmit power to most parts of this country and to utilize the power generation that we generate from the many companies through Kenyan and green renewable energy. I think it is a good thing. Madam Speaker, as I finalize, I want to say that it is good to march on what you are planning for the taxation, so that when you have a huge budget, you try as much as possible to raise funds which will suit or will be proper in terms of implementation of the budget. And I support this bill. Thank you so much.
Very well. Let me have the Honorable Boni Mwalika, the member for Kitui Irulo. Member for Kitui Irulo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.